My name is Joe Peroni, and this is the Rise Above Project. And today I want to talk about how to overcome the number one barrier to your success. Now, I've talked about this in the past with a lot of people, and a lot of people who do reading, and they're very smart. They said, well, the number one barrier to success is themselves. And I like that because they're taking responsibility for their life. But I want to go a little bit deeper than that, because what it does is it doesn't take into account the environment which helps create their self-identity. So a lot of the problems come from their environment, and that I think is the number one barrier to success. Because often we let our environment and the people close to us actually define us. Now, I know in psychology we try to say that that's wrong. You need to be internally validated and not externally validated. But I honestly don't know really too many people, even very successful people and mentally healthy people. There's not too many of them who just don't care about what their family and their friends think. So I want to talk about the reality of life and not just basic psychology. And there's a reason why I'm in this room today with a feral cat, which is making me a little bit nervous, to be honest with you, because he doesn't let me pet him. He's actually extremely hypervigilant. But we're going to talk about this as part of the show today. That's why I'm in this room. So I want to talk about a quote from a sociologist named Charles Horton Cooley. And he said, "I am not who you think I am. I am not who I think I am. I am who I think you think I am." Which this statement helps to capture the complexity of people's identity and where it comes from. Because the external world, it does inform us about who we actually think we are. And I think psychology in general, it mistakenly treats people only as individuals with little regard to their environment. So that's why I want to talk about it today. So I want to use some examples. So number one, let's look at this. How big do you think a great white shark would be if it was born into a 20-gallon tank? And the answer, of course, is it can't be any bigger than the tank itself. And again, this has to do with our environment. If you're born into a low socioeconomic type of situation, and everybody around you, let's say, doesn't value education, how difficult will it be for you to set your path maybe to be at an Ivy League college? It's doable, but very difficult, and you might think that the problem is you somewhere, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's your environment, and maybe you're going to have to break out of that environment. Another example, how well do you think an eagle would learn to fly if it was born in a chicken coop with other chickens? Right? So as far as I know, chickens don't fly very much, if at all. But if you were an eagle, and you were in that chicken coop, and all your friends, family, and everybody else that you're spending your time with in that environment, they never flew, what would be the chances of you taking the time and energy to practice your flying techniques? Again, it's probably there's a pretty good chance that you wouldn't do that, and you definitely wouldn't reach your full potential. So that gives you another example of what it would be like to be born into a family or a society that is really not supporting you. How about this? How happy can a liberal-minded person be if they were born into a conservative-minded family in a conservative area? Again, it would be very difficult to express your feelings and opinions in that area without getting a major backlash. So again, you might think that this person would experience maybe depression, anxiety, social alienation. And that's probably true. They can go to a therapist and they can have all these problems, and somebody might suggest that they need drugs, let's say, to minimize these types of feelings. When in fact, all they need to do is be in a better environment. Now, I want to talk about a concept here that goes along with this. It's called brain drain. And I know this could offend people, but it is a real term, so we should talk about this. Brain drain, by definition, is a migration of intelligent or educated people from rural areas to metropolitan areas. And they call it a brain drain because these types of people who seek more typically are not going to find it in the area that you're in. The cat's attacking me. And so because of this, they will move out, and then they will seek some type of way to express themselves, and they become happier. So again, it might not be personal psychology, it might be your environment. Here's another one. How difficult is it to become a bodybuilder when no one around you actually cares about their health? And I could speak to this one directly. I would say it's very, very difficult. Because if you want to change your sleeping patterns, you want to change what you do in your free time, you want to change how you eat, you want to change the fact of you're going to go working out maybe 2 hours every day. People don't understand this. They think you're weird. You know, I went into, when I first started my graduate program, you know, I started hearing these words being thrown around about me. It's like, he might be a narcissist. Well, narcissism has a lot to do with antisocial personality. It has a lot to do with being sadistic and Machiavellian. It has nothing to do with taking care of your body and wanting to live longer and look good. So even then in the psychology field, they have no idea what it's like for someone who actually wants to work out and look good. They have all these terms, and they're no better than the average people on the street as far as I can tell. Here's another one. Is it possible to feel attractive if nobody compliments you? Now, I know we read these really great memes, and, you know, we see all these sayings, and these people are very nice, and they say, you're enough, you look great, you know, you're beautiful just the way you are. I don't disagree with that. But I think it's very, very difficult to tell people, or to make, you know, to expect somebody to feel beautiful, to feel handsome, to feel pretty, if nobody ever tells them. Because we look for other people for that validation, even as children, right? Like, here's another one for you. Is it possible to feel lovable if nobody shows you love? Right? As children, we're looking for that connection with our parents. We're born naked, needy, and dependent. We need that connection. We need to know that we're important. We need to be loved. We need to be taken care of, felt safe and secure. When we cry, we want somebody to help us out. Well, what if we need things? What if we're sad? What if we're crying? And nobody comes to our rescue? We don't think, well, our parents are not worthy parents. We think we're not worthy children. And so we start to buy into this thought that we're not lovable. So again, then you take this person when they're older, let's say teenagers, or even in their 20s, 30s, 40s, it could be their 80s, I don't care. And then they still don't feel lovable. How do you change that? You know, we could say it's an inside job, and that's true, but it's a very, very difficult process to get people to feel lovable when their outside world and their environment tells them very strongly that they're not. How do we get people to believe that they're smart and they're intelligent and what they say is worthwhile when all their ideas die of loneliness and nobody cares? You know, we say that you're worth a lot because you're a person, and yet they get a job. It's a minimum wage job, and they go, well, I know exactly how much you're worth. It's this much, minimum wage. So we do have to care about our environment. And what does the environment do to us to bring us down? Let's talk about this. It's a little bit off subject, but not really. Let's talk about Black Monday, which was September 19th, 1977. And this was in Youngstown, Ohio. Up until then, steel mills were a big thing. People would expect to work there. They knew that they were going to have jobs. I mean, their fathers, grandfathers, whoever, they all had jobs going back for generations. But on that day, all of a sudden, steel mills were going to be shutting down. Now, to this day, they've never recovered. There was twice as many people who lived in Youngstown back in the 1920s. So 100 years later, there's half the population. So they definitely have not recovered. So what happens to the people who live there? Yes, social alienation. Yes, depression, obviously, grief, incredible anxiety. Is this because there are personal failings? No, absolutely not. It's because their environment almost overnight, and I mean almost Actually, maybe overnight. Again, September 19th, 1977. Boom. We're ending the contracts in this town. Figure it out. You need to leave. There's no work here anymore. So is it their environment that caused their stress, or is it personal failings? I would say it's their environment. And for today, I'm in this room for a very specific purpose. I'm here with, we call him Sir William. At first, I was going to call him Ferrell, as in Will Ferrell, get it? Feral cat. And he's been taken care of here for about 7 months now. And you can't get close to him. He will not allow you to pet him or anything like that. He'll eat, he'll get a little bit closer. You can get him to play. I was going to try to get him to play with this, but he's not on camera anymore. Let me see. Actually, he is playing, but he's over there, so now you can't see him. So that didn't work out well. Before, he was sleeping up right up here on this thing. But here's my point. His being overly anxious and him being hypervigilant and his, if you want to call it, post-traumatic stress, it's not a pathology. It's his superpower. And why is that? It's his environment. He was born outside. He was born having to try to find food in garbage and being chased away. He was fighting with other cats to get food and safety. He was hiding most of his life. He was running away from dogs. He had no place to sleep that was safe. So him being hypervigilant is an adaptation to his environment. Again, if he wasn't hypervigilant and anxious, he'd be dead. So these are actually good things. Now in this environment here, it doesn't work very well. But again, it's the matter of his environment has changed, and over time he will adapt to that. So again, another example of how environment changes you. If he was born in this house and he was loved and taken care of and nurtured, he would be much, much different. So it's not a personal issue. We all know the saying, survival of the fittest, and we tend to think of it as the fittest as being the strongest. But it's really not that. What it comes down to is survival of the ones who can adapt the best. And helping, in this case, what we're talking about today, a barrier to success would be your environment. It changes you, but we need to be able to adapt to a new situation. And in a sense, really, what really trumps all is survival of the nurtured. Because if you're loved and you're cared about in a proper manner, you can adapt much better. But unfortunately, most people are not. And as you can see, most animals are not. Actually, he's in view. Let me see if I can get him to... See, he may... See, look at that. He's engaging with me, but from distance. So I have to be very careful. There he goes. I have to be very careful to engage to what he can do. And similarly, with people, you don't want to traumatize them by giving them too much information or pushing them too much, because they might not have the tools to recover at the moment. So you have to give people the tools to recover, but you have to start first with nurturing. And I don't want to get him... Oh, there he goes. I think I'm going to stop there, because if he gets angry, he's going to kill me. So the big question becomes this, right? How do we overcome our environmental situations? And here's how I see it. Let me give you a list. Number one, we need the awareness to realize that your environment is not supporting you. And that's important. It's hard to do. If you are a goldfish in a 5-gallon tank, you don't know you're in a 5-gallon tank, right? It's hard to know that. So if you're in an environment in your family and they put you down, you want to save money because nobody in your family has ever made a lot of money, or no one's actually gone to college, and you start to save money, they might call you self-centered, conceited, miserly. And because you're the odd one, you might start believing all that. Is he going to attack me? Oh, God, let's hope not. So you might start believing that you're all these negative things because you are in that environment. And sometimes they have a vested interest in keeping you where you are because it doesn't test them. So again, awareness. Know that your environment is not supporting you. You need to know that. Number 2, start the process to develop your skills and your mastery. Be absolutely 100% addicted to education and your personal growth. I know there's a lot of talk these days about white privilege, right? We hear this. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but let me just change the focus a little bit. I'm white. I was also in a very poor socioeconomic situation. So most of the white privilege is really saying that you're born into money privilege, and I didn't have that. But let me tell you something about privilege. You can make yourself privileged. If you're addicted to education and you try to be the smartest person in the room, you become valuable and people want to pay you for your services. Then you become privileged. Let me tell you this too. If you take the time to be a bodybuilder, you want to work out with weights, you want to watch your diet, guess what? You're going to look better than 99% of the people out there. And we live in such a superficial society that I'm telling you, if you walk into a room and you're the most handsome and you're the most prettiest and you're attractive, that is amazing privilege. And you can work on that. And it doesn't cost much. You have to work hard, but it doesn't cost much. And you're not born into it. Just work hard. So again, be addicted to education, be addicted to your own personal growth. Number 3, be laser-like and have single-minded focus on your goals. Don't let anybody tell you anything different. Once you're aware of your situation, you make your goals and you set those goals and you try to attain them. Do not let anybody, and I mean anybody, even the closest ones to you, because many times they're the ones who are the ones that get in your way more than anybody else with the guilt trips and everything else. Move forward, laser-like focus. I've heard this a lot of times, and I'm sure you have too, but you can only be as good as like the top 5 people that you hang out with, right? So if they have an education level that's low, they don't have much ambition. I mean, how are you going to be the one that stands out? You know, these people are not going to support you. So if we really want to say the truth of this matter, here it is. Let's just say it straight. Don't spend time with losers. It's not worth it. And I would say this too. Burn all your bridges to those people who keep you down, whether they try to keep you down on purpose or whether their mentality keeps you down and their negativity keeps you down and their inability to look for solutions and they're always looking at the problems. Like after you around them a little bit and you talk to them a little bit, it's like, oh my God, you feel like you just need to take a shower to wash all the negativity. Don't spend any time with that. Burn those bridges. If you want to build them back, it's no problem. I've done it. Build it back with wealth. Build it back with success. Build it back on your terms the way you want to do it so they don't re-traumatize you and don't allow for the negativity. And number 5, maybe the most important. Listen, if you're in an environment that doesn't support you and you don't have people that have done it before, like let's say you want to be able to have your money work for you, like the stock market or maybe buying land, and the people around you are only interested in maybe seeing if they have enough money to buy cigarettes, you're not going to learn anything from them. You don't need a role model at home. You don't need a role model in your family. You want a role model? Find one. Look for one. They're all over the place. Find somebody. They could even be dead. Abraham Lincoln, is he a good role model for you? I bet you he is. Or anybody else. I don't care who it is. So find a mentor. Find a teacher. Find anyone who will help you grow and support that growth. All important to overcome your environment. So this is getting a little bit too long, but I want to do this. My favorite songwriter of all time is Peter Townsend from The Who, and I could read you like maybe 20 different songs that have to do with this subject in one way, shape, form, or another. But let me read this real quick, because I've been really thinking about this lately. It's a song called The Dirty Jobs, and it's about people who work dirty jobs, jobs that don't pay very well. They're not treated very well. And they're seeking for more, and because their environment, quite frankly, sucks. So let me read through some of this for you. I'm getting put down. I'm getting pushed around. I'm being beaten every day. My life's fading, but things are changing, and I'm not going to sit around and weep again. My karma tells me that I've been screwed again, and if you let them do it to you, you've got yourself to blame. It's you who feels the pain, and it's you who feels ashamed. So let me just stop right there. Basically this, take responsibility for your life and don't lay it on other people. You know, it's not your fault, the environment that you were born into, but it is your responsibility to fix it. Let me finish with this. He says, I am a young man, and I ain't done very much, but you men should remember how you used to fight. And just like a child, I've been seeing only dreams. I might be all mixed up, but I know it's right. And here we go, this last few lines here. I remember this when I was about 11 years old, reading this, looking at some people in my environment, the older men and the older women who were quite frankly living paycheck to paycheck, always never feeling good about themselves, no self-esteem. And I thought, I'm not going to do this. I'm just not. I'm going to break out of this environment one way or another. And just like a child, I've been seeing dreams. I think we all need dreams to do better. And don't feel bad about breaking out of your environment. The people who put you here, you went through them to be here. They don't own you. You know, you're here to figure out what to do in your life, to find your meaning and purpose, and to do your own thing. So I hope today's show was valuable today in overcoming your environment, and obviously, I think, a massive barrier to your success, which would be maybe just the people around you. And this is the Rise Above Project. If you'd like to subscribe, that would be great. If you can tell a friend, that would be even better. And let me do this one more time. He seems to be relaxed. Here's the feral cat in a new environment. And I can't reach back there far enough to get his attention. But you know what? He's sleeping. Oh, there he goes. Hold it. But look, a couple of months ago, he wouldn't even play, right? So his environment has changed, and he's become much happier. And I bet you in another few months, he might even sit on my lap. But anyway, thanks for listening. This is the Rise Above Project. I'm Joe Peroni. Thank you.